Good evening, everyone. It's February the 27th, 2024. As you can see from the title, I want to talk about being grateful for things. And I had an interesting Sunday, this past Sunday. A friend of mine was celebrating her 80th birthday. And it was interesting because I met this woman back in 2014. And I met a whole group of her friends, and this was a group of activists. We were active for doing things like helping on our protest marches, for example, with the Indigenous people. We saw the truth that we believed was the truth there. We've helped fight for the land. And of course, water is sacred. So we had a thing on where it was photographed a few years ago, where it's online. It's called Water is Sacred. And so she was celebrating her birthday with her twin sister, who was also 80 years old, but this was her special day. And I just want to say that one of the reasons I'm grateful for meeting all these wonderful people that I met through all the activism stuff that we were doing was because after, as I have stated, I met Julie in 2010, ended up in the shelter. My life was turned upside down, which happens to people when their lives are turned upside down, whether it's a fire, forest fire, or they lose their homes, or it's a flood. We have that problem of being where our lives are turned up, and that was part of the salvation in 2014, was I had to redo my life over again. So they were doing an activism thing, and because again, it was through William Commanda, who had met back in 1995, his dreams and his hopes for the future. So many of us believed in William Commanda, the elder, who's our Algonquin elder here right in the capital. And we now have the William Commanda Bridge named after him as well. And it's nice to see that through our activism and stuff that things are at least being named. We're getting Indigenous names as well throughout the city. So that was a nice change to see through Truth and Reconciliation and going through all these different problems that we were going through. We worked out some really, really, really nice things, but we lost what we were hoping to gain with William at the time, but we still believe in his memory. So she was having her birthday party. We all met up at a restaurant. There was supposed to have been 40 of us. 35 showed up. 2 were out of town doing various things, and 3, of course, are seniors like us, and they weren't feeling well, so they didn't make it. But it was interesting to have everybody, because through the pandemic, it was nice to actually see everybody, because we hadn't really been together since before the pandemic and the protest marches and things. So we all finally met up, and it was really good to be able to actually hug someone in person again, like we did before the pandemic. And also we lost a number of people through the pandemic too, so we were kind of able to honor them at the same time. So we were all very grateful to be there in the room and be able to have conversations again with one another, not over the telephone and that. It was back in person again. So it was a lovely evening that we had, and it just made us realize how grateful we all were. And there's some things that it's interesting what she said. She and her twin sister just ended up celebrating they're both 80 today. And what was so interesting was she says, well, I've been here for 80 years. My sister's been here for 80 years. That's 160 years between us. Then we have an older sister who is 82, and that's another 82 years on top of that. And then they just lost a sister a couple of months ago. She had her younger sister who was 79, I believe, 78 or 79, who died. And it was interesting because she totaled it all up, and it came to 320 years between just 4 of them, of all the life experiences that we've had and been grateful for going through. And then looking around the room, there's so many of us that are up in our 70s, and I think there's a few also in their 80s too, that were in the room, as well as the younger generations that were with us. But it was looking at all that experience and knowledge that we have carried all those years and thinking, we're a room full of people. We agree on many things. We don't argue. We settle our arguments. And it's just that we have a way of doing things in a very peaceful way, and sort of scratching my head and thinking, well, why can't the politicians just get together? You think all the politicians with all their years of experience could get together and do something properly, and rather than fight and amongst themselves and bashing each other over the head from one party to the other party. That's not going to get anything done. But we all have a shared leadership understanding between each other, and this gets things done when we need to get things done. So it was a very, very wonderful, wonderful, wonderful party, and it was good to see everyone again, and it made everyone felt good. We were laughing. We had a little bit of a memorial there for the ones that we lost through the pandemic, but we realized, wow, look at all our life experiences, what we could do with our lives, and what people could do much better with their lives. So I just wanted to mention that this is what I'm grateful for, is I've met all these wonderful people and have been able to rebuild my life where I am today. Now I've rebuilt my life pretty well. Now I'm helping Julie, and Julie is enjoying also some, as not just only the community, but she loves some of my senior friends as well, who are helping her get through her transition right now that she's going through to be a better person, which is exactly what she's trying to do and what she wants. So this is one of the things that I wanted to talk about tonight. I have a few little updates, a couple of updates here I'd like to put out too. That when I keep talking about the ambassador from Finland, there was another little thing that came out was with the way they have their program and their supportive, what they call, I guess, their type of supportive housing, they find that 4 out of 5 people that go through it are successful to get out of the program and can get fully back into their society again. And that I find is a very, very high statistic when you look at it. And I'm thinking, well, here we go. Like, what do our statistics show with this supportive housing? Because these nonprofit organizations talk about they've got the supportive housing, but we're seeing a mess. So that's happening now. It's not run properly, or there's either the supports that are in place are not enough, or we need more supports in place. So it begs the question of what's missing here. What do we need to do to make it better and improve it? So that's what I'm really trying to get across, is how do we improve this? So hopefully we can get together and do that. And then talking about housing, it was kind of interesting because I have an elder that's online as well. And she posted today, which was kind of cute, was one of the reserves. They're solving their housing crisis by building tiny houses now. They showed it online where there was several tiny houses where they're supporting people, sometimes just a couple in a house or just a single in a house, which is kind of like what we used to do years ago when we had our teepees. We would have a small teepee for either 1 or 2 people, and then of course as the family expanded, the teepees got bigger and bigger. So that's how we did that one, as well as with the lodges. As the family grew, the family would be in the lodge, but we'd have to expand their lodges just the same as we do today. When we have a house, if our family expands and we need more, we just put an extension on the house if need be. So it's not that far-fetched to realize there's many different ways of doing things. But I just wanted to also give you an update that on last week, the OPP, the Ontario Provincial Police, along with the United States Homeland Security, had a huge arms bust where they got a lot of guns off our streets that we're trying to get across the border from the States, and a number of arrests for people who were trying to smuggle the guns into Canada here. And it was really good because a number of these guns were also remodified for shooting a lot more rounds than what they were intended for. So that was kind of a good thing to hear. And then I also wanted to bring up that in BC, they had a huge fentanyl bust. They were estimating 356,000 fentanyl pills were just taken off the street. And so I'm looking at that and I'm saying, oh my gosh, how many lives were saved by that? And then when I'm talking about the other gentleman, his opinion from the Echo paper there about defunding the police and that, because they're harassing and having to terrorize and deal with all the street people. Well, maybe this is what we need to really go back and reinforce, is to get more of these pills off the street so things are not so bad. So maybe there's a great deal that we still need to do in enforcement. And I know the federal government last month was looking at smuggling and stuff like that over the border, and that was particularly on the car thefts that are going on the Montreal port and that our Border Patrol needs more equipment and stuff to deal with all the car thefts that are going on the luxury cars that are going overseas and that. So that may be the other way, rather than we need to spend the money on enforcement to get these people caught. And of course, being on the 49th parallel, we do have the border crossings, but we have a lot of places that people can just walk over the border on the 49th parallel too, I'm sure. That stuff is coming in from that way too. And so it's kind of like what's going on with Mexico and trying to build a wall. Well, we don't want to necessarily build a wall, but I think maybe we need to up our patrols along the border as well with the United States to try and stop some of this that's going on. So I don't want to make the video too long today, but everyone, have a great day, and we shall talk to you again soon. And be aware of your surroundings and be safe, and we'll talk again soon. And bye-bye.